Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 5 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 5 math, and then click on view all lessons. Here you can find the list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter ratios, proportions, and persons. The lessons we're going to cover today are persons of a number, determine the ratio, percent of a number word problems, and compare percentages. So please make sure you have your pen and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Here I am on grade 5 math. Chapter we're on right now is ratios, proportions, and person. Let's just start. What is 75% of 32? So 32 is a whole number. We need to calculate 75% of 32. Right? That means we need to calculate the part of the whole number. Percentage is 75%. And n represents the part. So we need to form a proportion that would be n over 32 equals 75 over 100. We need to solve this equation for n. That equals 75 times 32 over 100. So n equals 24. 75% of 32 is 24. So 75% of 32 is 24. Let's just start with the test questions. What is 75% of 32? 75% of 32 is 24. Option number 1 is the correct option. What is 25% of 12? 25% of 12. So the whole number is, we need to calculate the 25% of n is 12 divided by n equals 25 over n over 12. We need to calculate n and 25%. So that is n divided by 12 equals 25 over 100. So n equals 12 over 100. So 25 times 12 is 300 and 300 divided by 100 is 3. So 25 of 12 is 3. The correct option is 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. 25% of 12 is 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. That, that is 3. Option 1 is the correct option. What is 60% of 15? The whole number is 15. We need to calculate n. That is n divided by 15 equals 100. 60 times 15 over 100, that equals 900. So n equals 9. So the correct option is n equals 9. That means 60% of 15 is 9. Option number 1 is the correct option. 60% of 15 is 9. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 9. What is 70% of 30? So 70% of, we need to calculate the part of 30. How much part? 70%, right? So 70% of 30. Option number 1 is the correct option. Ten percent of 60. That is, the whole number is 6. That is n over 10 equals 3 over 100. N equal times 100, 10 over 100. That equals, option number 2 is the correct option. That is 6. What is 80% of 45? That is W equals 45. that is n divided by 45 equals 80 over 100. So n equals t times 45 over 100. So 45 times 80 is 3600, and 3600 divided by 100 is number 1 is the correct option, that is 36. So 80% of 45 is 36. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. So let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is determine the what is the ratio of the yellow heart. What is the ratio of the yellow hearts to brown? So the ratio of the yellow hearts to brown hearts. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yellow hearts to 1 brown heart. So it would be 7 to 1. The ratio is 7 to 1. Let's just start with the test questions. What is the ratio of the yellow hearts to brown hearts? That would be 7 to 1 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the red fish to total fish? 3 to 5. Number 3 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the purple jeeps to red jeeps? Purple jeeps to red jeeps. Only one purple jeep we have, and 4 red jeeps we have. So that is 1, 2, 4. What is the ratio of hexagons to blue hexagons? That is 6 to 1. Option number is the correct option. What is the ratio of the orange octagonal prisms to total octagonal prisms? We have 9 orange prisms to two prisms are 10, so that is 9 show 10. Option number 4 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the blue cars to total? 8 blue to 9. That is to 9. Option number 1 is the correct option. What is the pairs of scissors to blue pair of scissors? That is 1 to 5. Option number 2 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the yellow bows to orange bows? Nine to 1. Option number 4 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the orange pens to total pens? Orange to total. That is 3 to 4. Option number 3 is the correct option. What is the ratio of the red frogs to That is 3 to 2. Option number 3 is the correct option. The correct option is 3 to 2. What is the ratio of the purple parakeets to total parakeets? So you have one, two, three, four, 5 purple to 6. Option 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just next lesson. Persons of in order to select new board, the French club held an election 60% of the 20 members of voted club. How many members voted? So find percent of 20. The whole number is 20 and the percent is 60%. So we need to make the proportion, that is n divided by 20 equals 60 over 100. So n equals 60 times 20 over 100. N equals 12. The correct option is 12. Let's just start with the test question. In order to select new board members, the French club held an election. 60% of 20 members of the. How many members voted the one? That is the one we just did on the tutorial. So the correct option is Carson bought chocolate and vanilla cupcakes for to school for his birthday. 70 students decided to take a cupcake and 10% of them picked a vanilla. How many people picked a vanilla cupcake? So you need to form a proportion that would be n equals 70 equals 10 over 100. So n equals 10 times 70 over n equals 7. That means 7 of them picked vanilla. The correct option is 7. Option number 2 is the correct option. Mia ordered Mia ordered a set of orange pins. She received pins and 20% of them were blue. 20% of them were blue. How many blue pins did Mia receive? So that is 5 equals 200 equals 20 times 85 over 100. So 85 times 20 is 1700 and 1700 divided by by 100 is 17. So the correct option is 17. The correct option is n equals 17. Option number 2 is the correct option. At the craft store, Rubin bought a bag of orange and green marbles. The bag contained 44 marbles and 25% of them were orange. How many orange marbles did Rubin receive? So we need to calculate percent of 44. That is n divided by 44 equals 2100. So n equals 25 times 44 over 100. 25 times 44 is 1100. 1100 divided by 100 is 11. So the correct option is 11. Option number 2 is the correct option, that is 11. Last Thursday was costume at Dakota School. 30% of 100 students wore a costume. So which is the correct option? 30% of 100 is 30. Option number 2 is the correct option. 30% of 30 is 30. Option number, okay, you can complete by yourself later today. Let me just Which is less, 40% of 50 and 20% of 50? Calculate both the percentages. 40% of 20 is 40% of 50 is 20 and 20 of 50 is 10. So which is less? 20% of 50 is less. Okay, let's just start with the test questions. What is less? 40% of 50 and 20% of 50. That is 20% of 50. Option number 2 is the correct option. Which is less? 30% of 4 and 30% of 70. So 30% of 12 is 12 and 30% of 70 is 21. So which is less? So 30% of 40 is less. Option number 1 is the correct option. Which is greater? 10% of 10 is 1 and 90% of 10 is 9. So which is greater? 90% of 10 is greater than 10% of 10. Which is greater, 90% of 90 or 90% of 80? That is 90% of 80 is greater than 90% of 60. Which is greater, 30% of 10 and 10% of 30? Neither they are equal. Which is less, 30% of 50 and 90% of 45? 30% of 50 is less 90% of 50. Option number 2 is the correct option. Which is greater, 80% of 10 and 40% of 30? 40% of 30 is greater. Option number 2 is the correct option. Which is greater, 100% of 90 and 30% of 90? 90 is greater than 30% of 90. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So, okay, grade 5 math. Chapter 5 we're working on is ratios, proportions, and persons. The lessons for today are percent of a number, determine the ratio percent of a number word problems, and compare percentages. So before the next session, you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you, or either you can write them down in the chat box. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So any questions you can please ask if you have any to answer all your questions and confusions. Any questions? Questions? Okay. See you in the next session.